Welcome to F-Bomb Friday. I'm your host, Tracy Preston, along with my husband, Todd. Hey, hon.
Hey, baby.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's hit it. In Michigan, the winter wind bites a little harder. The snow drifts a little deeper. And in that hush, old stories wake again. Today we wander the frozen woods of Michigan. We creep beside firelit farmhouses of long-gone immigrants, and we listen for whispers of spirits, ghosts of the frost, and echoes of traditions that survived centuries. Cozy up, keep your lantern lit, and try not to look too deeply into the darkness. On today's episode of F-Bomb Friday, we're talking about winter whispers, Michigan's cold season spirits, and Yuletide shadows. Winter's first breath, the spirit of cold, indigenous traditions. Long before the first Europeans arrived, the lands we called Michigan were home to indigenous peoples. For them, winter was not just the season of hardship, but a powerful time. They spoke of Bibun, the ancient spirit of winter, a presence that draws the cold winds, that cloaks the land in snow and ice, that makes the lakes freeze and the nights stretch on. Under Bibun's rule, the forest falls silent, but not dead. In the cold months, families gathered around fires. They told sacred winter stories, tales of tricksters, of shape-shifters, of spirit beings that only walk the land under snow and stars. It was forbidden to tell some of those tales outside of winter. The snow itself was a canvas, the wind the voice. December when Bibun first awakens. With the arrival also came long nights, dangerous winds, and starvation for some. Folklore teaches how communities survived by sharing food and protecting each other from the cold spirit. This one is of the oldest traditions in Michigan. Imagine a child curled near the hearth, while outside the pine branches creak under snow. A grandfather's voice, low and grave. Watch the frost. Watch the silent forest. Listen for the cold spirits. These stories are part of a living tradition, a way of marking winter, not just as survival, but as a time for prayer, reflection, memory. The Tamta Tone 2, Scandinavian house spirits, which is Michigan immigrant folk. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, waves of Scandinavian, especially Finnish, immigrants crossed the sea and settled into Michigan's Upper Peninsula and northern communities. They brought with them not just tools and faith, but the old world beliefs. One such belief centers on Tamta, or Tone 2, a small ancient house or barn guardian, quiet, grizzled, often grumpy, but protective. During winter's long nights, the Tamta watched over the home, the animals, the hearth, but they demanded respect. On Yule Eve, It was custom to leave out a bowl of warm porridge with butter, a small offering to keep the Tamta content. Failure to honor them neglects the barn, and the cold might bite harder. Animals may sicken. Misfortune may stalk the household. Imagine a solitary log cabin in a clearing near a dark forest, snow piling on the roof. A small bowl of porridge is left on the table. Outside, the wind moans. Inside, a silent guardian stirs. This tradition survived in many immigrant households in the UP throughout the early 1900s, a quiet blending of old Europe with new world hardship and hope. And here is a quick but wicked nod to the shit elves. Yes, even the darkest corners of Scandinavian folklore made an appearance. Now, we've already discussed these so-called shit elves on a previous episode of F-Bomb, but it's important to note the difference. These creatures are far from Santa's helpers or the benevolent Tamta. They are filth-loving, unhygienic, and mischievous. The kind of sprites that haunt unclean corners, outhouses, barns filled with spoil. If you leave the barn dirty, you neglect the hearth. If the latrine is foul and the outhouse untouched, you may catch the wrath of these poop-flinging creatures. And just don't ask what happened to the porridge bowl. The Belsnickel, German-American Michigan communities. Because of the strong German heritage in Michigan, especially around Frankenmuth, the Thumb, and West Michigan, the Belsnickel is one of the most remembered December folklore figures. He appears in early winter, usually early December, dressed in ragged furs with soot-covered skin, carrying a switch for naughty children, much like Krampus, but also small treats for good ones. Older Michigan farming families recall stories of him knocking loudly on windows and doors after Thanksgiving and before St. Nicholas Day, December 6th. From winter witches to Yule spirits, European winter myth in Michigan's mix. Not all winter spirits are friendly. Some came with stony hearts and long memories. Immigrants brought with them stories of winter witches, Yule ghosts, and spectral visitors. Stories rooted in superstition, in the fear of midwinter darkness, in the terror of long, cold months. In German and Austrian immigrant enclaves, small, clustered farm families far from city lights, there are tales, rare, whispered, of a winter witch, a ghostly woman who drifted across fields during December's deepest nights. She demanded respect, a clean hearth, candles in windows, a bowl of dried fruit or nuts. Those who forgot sometimes awoke to misfortune. In Finnish Michigan tradition, there's also mention of forest sprites, of cold night watchers, of old forest gods, disturbed by building cabins in deep woods. Some stories speak of mistaken forest deer for a winter ghost. Others speak of footprints that vanish into the snow, as if some being melted away into the air itself. And then there are the darker legends, Yule ghosts. From Scandinavia, Stories survived of spirits that walk the long nights between solstice and epiphany. Restless souls wandering between homes, between worlds, seeking warmth, seeking memories. In Michigan's early immigrant communities, in the UP, in rural northern towns, even in some farmsteads downstate, these stories blended. A single winter night might carry the weight of many old world beliefs. A row of cabins lit against the snow, candles flickering in windows, porridge on the table, prayers muttered in Finnish, German, Ojibwe. The Blue People, Great Lakes Maritime Spirit Lore. A December-specific Great Lakes belief says that drowned sailors appear as blue figures walking frozen shorelines during the darkest part of winter. Most sightings were reported in late November, mid-December, just after shipping season ended. The lore claims they warned fishermen of unsafe ice. The winds change direction suddenly when the blue spirits are near, and dogs refuse to enter certain shore areas. This legend is especially common around Whitefish Point, Copper Harbor, and Alpena. Old lumber camp ghost stories, Northwoods tradition. Michigan logging camps were full of December tales. The Headless Sawyer, the Lantern Man, a ghost who knocks on cabin doors at night, the hungry trees, pine trees that groan before snapping in the cold. Most stories were told in the first deep freeze of December to keep men alert and safe. The Watcher in the Snow in the Lower Peninsula. A faceless figure said to appear in the fields after the 1st of December snow. Standing completely still, farm kids were warned not to approach because it marks the deep winter. The Old Polish Starman in the Detroit and Bay City areas. Part of Christmas Eve folklore, but preparation began in early December. A tall man dressed in stars would visit homes to test children's knowledge and to reward them or scold them. Many Michigan families remembered this into the 1950s. The Cold Eyes. This is old Saginaw River lore. River workers claimed glowing eyes watched from the riverbanks in early December, testing the season's ice, said to be winter spirits, choosing who falls through thin ice each year. Michigan winter customs, community and hearth traditions. Folklore isn't only monsters and spirits. Sometimes it's quiet customs, small rituals meant to protect, to remember, to honor. Michigan's winter heritage includes many of these, from the blending of immigrant practices with indigenous respect for the land. Finnish families in the Upper Peninsula often practiced a pre-Christmas cleaning called sauna, cleaning by some, sweeping out the old, discarding trash, cleaning barns and cabins. It was not just housekeeping. It was believed to chase away old spirits and to renew the home before the Yule. Some German Catholic families held on to a version of the smoking out the house, gentle incense or herbs burned to cleanse, especially on the longest nights. To keep away restless spirits or cold night mischief. In many tribal and settler communities alike, winter storytelling gatherings were common, a time for oral history, cautionary tales, and for laughter, warmth, and solidarity during the harsh months. In Western Michigan's Dutch communities, like Holland, Zeeland, on St. Lucia's night, December 13th, girls wore crowns of candles. Families put out bread to keep away December trolls. Cats were believed to bring blessings if fed on St. Lucia's Eve. Michigan folk superstitions for December? If the snow squeaks, extreme cold is coming. If owls hoot near the house, expect a death or major storm. If the first December snowfall is silent, winter will be long. If northern lights appear early in December, expect harsh winter weather. If a couple kissed under the first snowfall of December, they would possibly marry within the year. Wolves circling near roads meant heavy snowfall was on the way. Now, these customs, superstitions, and traditions may seem quiet, domestic, but in Michigan's winter, with snow piling high and wind howling outside, they were as potent as any ghost story. Why winter? Why Michigan? Why these stories endure? Oh, Michigan is cold. For half the year, the lakes freeze, the nights stretch, the land goes silent. People, indigenous, immigrant, frontier, needed stories. They needed guardians. They needed warnings. They needed rituals. Snow covers the tracks. Wind hides sounds. Darkness lingers. In that vacuum, minds wander. Fear grows, but so does solidarity. The hearth becomes sacred. The home becomes a refuge. These winter season myths and customs helped people feel safe, feel connected to ancestors, to land, to heritage. They kept alive events that even when the wind dared you to step outside, something else was watching, something old, something patient, something eternal. So, my friends, when you see the next snow falling, when you hear the wind scraping at the windows, remember, you are not the first to sit by the hearth. You are not the first to hear the silence crack. Maybe you will feel a presence. You might glimpse a shadow at the edge of the candlelight. You might wake at midnight, hearing soft footsteps in the snow. Be kind. Sweep the hearth. Leave the barn clean. Offer respect to winter, and the winter might offer you something in return. Now, until next time, stay safe, stay warm, and keep the fire alive. And happy Yule. Well, that was a great show, hon. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's kind of cool because we talked about the Krampus last week, and this is kind of a tie-in. Got me thinking there's a lot more traditions that have been brought over, with all the immigrants that have come, and even before that with indigenous tribes. So it was kind of nice to tie it all together and go over what Michigan winter is all about in folklore.
Well, there sure is a lot of diversity here in the Mitten.
There sure is.
I specifically like some of the Michigan folk superstitions for December, like if the snow squeaks, extreme cold is coming.
Right. That's kind of funny.
Well, snow does kind of squeak.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these traditions, and they're quite interesting.
So what is your favorite superstition?
My favorite is the storytelling part, telling stories to family and friends. I think that's a great tradition.
Agreed. And one of these that we talked about was if northern lights appear early in December, expect a harsh winter. And guess what?
Yeah, exactly. That happened this year. And a lot of people in Michigan were able to view the northern lights. And here we are. It's been a bit treacherous out there. Poor driving conditions for sure. Posted the reminder picture for the episode today, and it's a current picture of what the Great Lakes looks like with all the snow cover. So that was really interesting.
Right, and the character you created reminds me a heck of a lot of, what was he, the Winter
Warlock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Creepy.
So as I was digging through and getting the information, the Native American winter god or winter spirit totally reminded me of the Winter Warlock. He's just the image of winter embodied.
Agreed. And as soon as I looked at your artwork, I thought, ooh, Game of Thrones, because that dude is very freaky and scary. I don't like it.
Yeah, he kind of reminiscent of White Walker for sure.
I also like the tradition on Christmas Eve of leaving an empty seat or an extra place at the table in memory of your ancestors.
Yeah, it's a good one. And it's also a military tradition now, for fallen soldiers, leaving that extra plate at the table.
And weddings as well.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, paying respect to our ancestors and those that we've lost is a great tradition.
I couldn't agree more. Maybe we should do that this year. I know my dad needs a seat.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, hun. This was really fun. I love talking about all the things that people don't really talk about anymore. I mean, we've heard about Krampus, but not a lot of these other ones. So I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's kind of a hodgepodge, a plethora, I should say.
Oh, a plethora.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you want to sign us out?
I sure do. You better lock your doors. You better lock your windows. And you might just want to check under your bed.
And guess what?
What?
I'm not looking.
You're not going to look?
No. There's a plethora of things that could be there, and I'm just not into it right now. Nope. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Yule, and we will see you again on Malice Monday.
We will see you on Monday.